I think the best thing we can do as adults who feel stuck in our friendships is be open to them changing, be open to them looking different, be open to them building and growing together.
Welcome to Season of Stuck, the podcast that takes a deep dive into the all too human experience of feeling stuck. I'm your host, Deanna and on this podcast, we explore all things stuck. How and why stuckness happens, what it feels like, how to learn and grow from it, and ultimately, how to get unstuck and move forward in an authentic, empowered way. If you are looking for insights, support, and community as you make your journey from stuck to unstuck, you're in the right place. Now, let's jump into today's episode. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Season of Stuck. I'm your host, Deanna. If this is your first time listening, welcome. This podcast is about stuckness, and more specifically, how to make the journey from stuck to unstuck. So if you are currently experiencing stuckness or have ever felt stuck in the past, you will fit right in. And if this isn't your first time listening, welcome back. Not to sound too cheesy, but it really is an honor and a privilege to explore stuckness with you. And I'm super grateful that you keep tuning in. So thank you for being here. So I am super excited about today's topic because today we are talking about something that, in my opinion, is such a foundational, important part of life, but is also an area that a lot of people, myself included, can get stuck. And that is friendship. Friendships are among the most important relationships we'll ever have. And they offer so many incredible benefits that just make life better. For example, good friends make you feel seen. They accept you for who you are and love you not despite your flaws and imperfections, but because of them. They're there to stand by you when times are tough, to celebrate you when things are going well, and to send you funny memes and adorable dog content on a daily basis. Or at least that's a benefit of my friendships. And looking at it through the lens of stuckness, friendship can also play a huge part in helping us to get unstuck. When we're experiencing stuckness, it can be hard to see the forest for the trees. Stuckness can feel consuming, and it can be hard to imagine ever feeling less stuck than we are in our stuckest moments. But good friends can help us zoom out a bit. They can help us see more clearly how, why, and where we're stuck, and not only support us as we move forward, but also remind us that we have everything we need to move forward. Their confidence in us can help us feel confident in ourselves, which is such an essential part of getting unstuck. Seriously, friendship is just the best. And I have to say, when it comes to friendship, I pretty much hit the jackpot. I have some truly incredible friends that are an essential part of my joy, my growth, and my life as a whole. Whenever I'm feeling down about myself, I just think about the friends I'm surrounded with. And I remind myself that if these are the people that I get to call friends, I must be doing something right. They're my chosen family, and they have supported me through many of my own seasons of stuck. And I would not be who I am today without them. And for that, I am so beyond grateful. But as incredible as friendship is, it can also be a place where we get stuck. For example, can we talk about how hard it can be to make friends as an adult? Like, where do you find them? How do you introduce yourself? And once you introduce yourself, how do you take that interaction from a simple introduction to an actual friendship? Or there is the busyness factor. We live in a world that seems to be increasingly busy and overscheduled, or at least that's the world that I live in. So how do you find time in your schedule to give your friendships the time and energy and effort they need to thrive when you're so busy you barely feel like you have time or energy or effort for yourself? And let's not forget all of those interpersonal dynamics that can make us feel stuck in our friendships. For example, what do you do when you and a friend grow apart and you're trying to connect, but for some reason things just aren't what they used to be? Do you continue trying to work things out and get things back to where they were? Or do you just accept that your friendship has changed and start investing more in other relationships? I have experienced all of these things as I've attempted to build and grow and support my friendships. And I've gotten stuck many times along the way. And I know I'm not the only one. Friendship, like any other relationship, can be hard, especially today when modern life presents some unique challenges that can keep us from building and fostering strong friendships and leave us feeling stuck as a result. Whether that's social media, which might give us the illusion of having a lot of friends, but doesn't actually fill our friendship cup all that much, or remote work, which, while super convenient, isn't exactly a prime environment for meeting a work bestie. I wanted to learn more about how to best navigate my friendships at this point in my life and any stuckness that I experience in them. And that is what brought me to today's guest. Anna Goldfarb is a journalist and author. Called the New York Times friendship correspondent, Anna's reporting on friendships has appeared in the New York Times, The Atlantic, Time, Vox, and more. Her new book, Modern Friendship: How to Nurture Our Most Valued Connections, explores the nuances of navigating adult friendships. During our conversation, Anna and I take a deep dive into modern friendship, including why a strong about is a non negotiable for maintaining long term friendships, why allowing your relationships the space to change and evolve is a must, particularly in modern friendships, and why focusing on yourself and what you bring to the table is the key to getting unstuck and building strong, supportive friendships. This conversation was so enlightening. I feel like I learned a lot about how to be a better friend, which is so important to me because my friends deserve for me to be the best friend I can be. So, for any of my friends who are listening, this episode is for you. Thank you for making my life so amazing, for appreciating all of my quirks, which we both know there are many, for being such a huge source of inspiration, and for always sending the perfect Instagram reels. Okay, enough of the sappy stuff. Let's jump into my conversation with Anna. Anna, welcome to Season of Stuck. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh my gosh, I'm delighted to be here.
I am so excited to talk to you today. I'm always excited to dig into these topics, but what we're talking about today is something that is so near and dear to my heart and something that I think is so important to talk about, which is friendship. So I am really excited to get your insights and dive into what modern friendship looks like and how we can better make and maintain these important relationships.
Let's do it. I'm obsessed with friendship. So
Same.
I'm like a wind up toy. Like, just let's get to it. Like, I have so much to say.
I am similarly obsessed, like could not do life without my friends. So I am so excited and grateful that people like you are giving friendship the attention and like almost the reverence that it deserves. I feel like for a long time, friendship was kind of looked at as like a secondary or tertiary or kind of like, oh, it's nice to have friends, but not a must. Whereas I feel friendship is an absolute like non-negotiable. And I'm glad that there is more information and more insights out there that is kind of like confirming that and giving it the attention that it deserves.
I'm stoked too. We're all stoked.
Yes. So, I guess to get things started, I would love for you to introduce yourself to listeners and tell us a little bit about your work and what ultimately inspired you to write Modern Friendship.
Yeah, my name is Anna Goldfarb. I'm a journalist. I've been reporting on friendships for almost 10 years. And how did I start? My friendships were a dumpster fire. I got married at 39, which is really old. I mean, I had crow's feet walking down the aisle, but my mom was married at 21 and my grandma was married at 18. So I was noticing that my life is very different than previous generations, just with my romantic life and also my friendships. My friendships were really struggling when I got married. And I thought that my friendships would go on forever. And it was a real shock to see them buckling. Mostly it's because I didn't know how to meet the moment. I didn't know how to offer support. And the stakes are so high. I feel like if I didn't help a friend through, like through depression or infertility. I mean, I'm not trained in these things. I don't know what to say, but I feel like since I didn't say the right thing, that the friendship was really impacted. And I had 4 friends at my wedding. 2 of them, they buckled. 2 friendships peeled away, and I just felt really out of control with it. So I started reporting on friendships. And the first article I wrote was how to maintain friendships for the New York Times. And that was in 2017. And that's where I learned that there's such a thing as a friendship expert. I talked with Shasta Nelson, who's written books on friendship. And that blew my mind. It was like, wait, so your job is to look at friendships and diagnose them sort of like a mechanic? Like, that is so cool. And writing for the New York Times, I had a really great editor who encouraged me to explore these things. And I got to do, how to rekindle a friendship, how to be a more patient person, like all about how to be. And the more I wrote about friendships, the more questions I had. I wrote about how to stop people pleasing, how to handle a friendship quiet season. Why do friendships go quiet? And it just got more and more nuanced. And I wanted to put together this book to share something more comprehensive than what I'd seen out there. I've seen a lot of friendship books, but they didn't really explain to me what is happening in my own life. And what I found researching and writing Modern Friendship, I talked to over 100 people about their friendships. And what I found was just like, we are in a completely different culture than our ancestors. Like, we live in a hyper fluid society. We move around so much. We stay at jobs for shorter times. We spend twice as much time with our kids. We have very different values, choices, experiences. We can be friends with basically anyone. We can be friends with different genders. Did your mom have a best guy friend growing up? Probably not. Did your dad have a best friend who was a woman? Probably not. This is historically, culturally new. So it made perfect sense that I didn't know how to manage these things. I don't have models of, well, here's how you be friends with an ex-boyfriend and have your new partners meet each other. Here's how you be friends with someone who's trans. Here's how you be friends with someone who's different race than you, different class background than you. It's so cool that we have all these opportunities to make new friends, but we really don't have a lot of cultural history or examples of how to manage them.
I love that you spoke to the change in diversity of friendships because that's something that I have definitely seen. Like when I think about my parents or my grandparents, their friends were very similar to them. They either grew up together or they were moms together or, they had some really strong common thread. Whereas now, I feel like what you said, there is opportunity to be friends with everyone. Like I have a close friend who is 74 years old and I have friends that are men, just like all different types of friends. And that diversity adds so much to my life because it allows me to tap into other perspectives and other experiences. And my life is richer because of it. So I'm very grateful that that has kind of shifted away from we just hang out with people who look and act like us to we can hang out with anyone.
Yeah, well, there's pros and cons to each. I mean, when everyone looks like you know what's expected. You're in an in group, which can create a really strong bond of like, we all grew up together. My grandma was friends with people she went to like 3rd grade with, as opposed to me. I've lived in 3 different cities. I grew up in Chicago. I moved to New York City for college. And then now I live in Philly. So now I have a world where it's more like a spoke model where we're in the center and we have different cohorts who only share common history with me, not with each other. Like the burden has shifted with my grandma's generation. Like, oh, well, this is a bunch of friends. The synagogue would help plan things. They had community support to keep the friendships going. But now we have that burden. We have to come up with an individual case for each friendship of why do we keep this friendship active? And the landscape is fundamentally different. And that's what I wanted to share in this book. So people feel validated. They feel like, whoa, that is what my life is like. I do have friends from all different parts of my life, but they don't know each other. And that's why I feel so lonely. That's why it feels like I have 100 friends, but also 0 friends. That's why I don't know who to ask for dinner on Friday night. Like, it's just a mind fuck. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we have this collection of friends, but we don't know how to regard them. And it's very much like being hungry in a supermarket where you see so much choice. It's overwhelming. You can just pick up anything, but that's also the problem is I'm overwhelmed. There's so much I could gravitate towards and I just don't have the bandwidth to cut through it.
It's almost like analysis paralysis, like so many
Yeah.
potential friendships that we don't end up investing in a real way in any friendships.
Yeah. And when you're like, okay, I'm a little lonely. Who should I reach out to? And you scroll through your phone and it just doesn't feel as good as you think it would. You think it would feel so good to have a phone filled with friends information or have social media. It's like, here's all your friends. And it's like, yeah. And they only know me. They don't know each other necessarily. There's no cohesion. So that's why it feels like our social lives are just, such a dumpster. Oh my God, here's Iggy. I told you Iggy was going to come. He's meowing a little bit.
So Iggy is Anna's brand new kitten of less than a week. So if you hear meowing in the background, he's just also sharing his insights of what he thinks about friendship. And Iggy, those insights are welcome.
Iggy's weighing in. Iggy's weighing in.
So this podcast is about stuckness. And it sounds like one of the areas where people get stuck in friendships, in modern friendships, is this disconnect where there is a lack of community or cohesion where friends very much feel like one-offs. I have this friend that I met at work, but they don't know this friend that I grew up with or this other friend who I met at pickleball. And that can create a sense of not feeling the depth of having like a circle of friends around you. From your perspective and your research, what are some other places that people can feel stuck in modern friendships?
Well, I think people overestimate affection. I think they think affection will keep a friendship active forever, but that's not how humans work. People have to make choices with their limited time, energy, money, and we have to cut through all this noise to make decisions that are best for us. And our friends aren't always privy to that information. So what I mean by affection isn't enough to keep a friendship active is that what I learned is that every friendship needs an about, and the about needs to be clear and compelling to both people. So let's say you have a friend from camp that you really love, but you're like, why don't I ever talk to my camp friend very much? It's like, well, what's the friendship about? Us being in camp in 5th grade. Okay, well, how often do you want to talk about being in camp in 5th grade? Like every 7 years, every 8 years? Oh, that's probably why we talk every 8 years, because the about is only as compelling as we should talk every 8 years. Now, that helps explain, like, yes, you like this person, you care for this person, but it's not enough to stay in touch. And one of the things during COVID, I mean, my book is very much a COVID book. It was conceived during COVID. It was written during some of COVID. And I know a lot of the advice with lockdown was reach out to people. Now's the time, reach out to people. And I'm like, well, why did you stop talking in the first place? Why do you have to reach out to someone? What's going on here? And then you reach out to your friend, you have a great conversation, you catch up. It's like, oh my God, it feels so good to finally be in contact again. But you don't talk again after. It doesn't translate into a sustained friendship. So that's what I wanted to explore with this book of like, what's going on here? Why isn't it enough just to call someone, an old friend, and be like, I miss you. I think about you. What's going on with you? Okay, bye. And then you just never know when you're going to see them again. And it really is about active friendships need an about. It needs to be something apart from the two people in the friendship. It has to be something outside of you that you both marvel at, that you both want to explore and share together. And one of my favorite texts for understanding friendship is Hollywood Walk of Fame speeches. I don't know if you've ever seen one, but my favorite one is the Matthew McConaughey and Guy Fieri Hollywood Walk of Fame speech, and Guy Fieri is getting a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and Matthew McConaughey is explaining their friendship. And he said, I was a struggling actor in a, what's it called? A stream, going across country, eating, watching diners, drive-ins, and dives. And Matthew McConaughey reached out to Guy Fieri and said, hey, I'm going to be in Spokane next week. Where should I eat? I love your show. Guy Fieri, you should eat here. And then they had updates. Well, I went eat there. It was really great. I'm going to be here next week. Where should I eat? So they're about eating at restaurants was very compelling for both of them. And then when they met a little bit later in LA, Guy Fieri had moved out there. Matthew McConaughey came over, and they connected on their deeper values of faith, family, fame, navigating fame. And that's how their friendship deepened. But it started with a compelling about of, where do I eat? And it's so elegant and so simple. And this is how we started friendships when we were younger at the lunchroom. Oh, you like Shira? I like Shira. Oh, you like Teddy Grahams? I like Teddy Grahams. Oh, you actually like horses? I love horses. And you find the other things that keep the friendship going. And friendships cool when one friend isn't as interested in that stuff anymore. It's like, well, I've kind of outgrown it. Now I'm into boy bands. It's like, well, I don't know. So that's, that explains what we see when we're young. But when we're older, our problems are so much more complex, and we just don't have the training to meet these mature adult problems in life. I think people romanticize their younger friendships because it was just so much more simple. We were simple. Our problems were simple. It's like, I have a test on Friday. Oof. But now it's like, I mean, just infinitely more complex. So friendships are having a tough time in adulthood, but it's not hopeless. It's just, you need a strategy. You need a strategy to maintain friendships. And I go through a lot of what a strategy looks like, and a realistic strategy, a flexible strategy. We can all have wonderful, enduring friendships. We just need better strategies.
I have so many thoughts on what you just said. The kind of experience that you were just explaining, I have absolutely had that experience in many different areas, but what came up for me was work friends. So I look back at the jobs that I had, which there were many before I started my business, and I always had work friends. Like, there were people that I would meet at work that I connected with, and we would chat, and, it would be great. But then when one of us would leave the job, we no longer had that thing in common. And so the friendship would dissipate. But then there were a few friends. I have one friend from each job in my 20s who, that was the starting point, was like Guy Fieri and Matthew McConaughey connecting over restaurants. We initially connected over work, but then over time found that we had similar values and goals and like things that we love to do. And then we're able to maintain that friendship for 10, 15, 20 years. Shout out to Aaron, to Molly, and to Jenna, my 3 best work buddies.
Love them.
Oh, they're the best. I love them so much. Just had a 10-year friendiversary with one of them, and next year's 15 with the others. So yeah, going strong. But so that's really interesting how you can become friends when that Venn diagram of like a common interest or a common goal is in place, when you have that strong about. But if you can't continue to have a strong about, when that about goes away, the friendship can go away too.
Yeah. And there's other factors too. Like if someone moves away, if someone moves into a different role in life, or, becomes a mother, gets married, and then that'll influence who they seek out too, because they'll want people with more compelling information to offer them. So maybe as a new parent, you'd want to be friends with other new parents. Just practically, they can give you more compelling information, which bottles to use, which pediatrician, like all that stuff is going to be more compelling to a new parent than maybe an older friend where their tie was going out to clubs together or something. It's like, well, I'm not there anymore. This is my priority. So it's really about learning human behavior and why we do what we do, why we seek out who we seek out, and, proceeding accordingly of, how do I help my friends with their life practically? Oh, I don't. Well, it's probably it's not a huge surprise why they haven't reached out. Like, I'm not part of their life. I'm not instrumental. I'm not offering emotional, practical support. Like, oh, okay, I get it. It's just kind of calmed me down. It's like, okay, I get it.
So I want to jump into the strategy piece that you were just talking about. But before we do that, another question came up as you were talking about, kind of that realization that the friendship is no longer what it was, that you don't really have those common interests or a strong about, and it's kind of fading away. I know that I can speak for myself, that I can get very stuck in wanting to hold on to relationships and friendships that maybe no longer make sense because there is a lot of affection there. There is a lot of love. There is a lot of history. And so I will kind of grasp at that because I don't want to let go and admit, like, hey, we've gone in different directions. We aren't the people that we used to be. We can look back on the friendship that we shared and feel a lot of joy and happy memories, but maybe moving forward, that's not how it's going to look. So if people are getting stuck there in like really trying to put time and energy into friendships that are no longer working, like how do they get unstuck from that behavior?
I have a few different thoughts. One of the best things you can do is negotiate with your friend. I want to spend more time with you. I miss you. I want to spend more time with you. What's important to you today? Do you want to move your body more? Do you want to start a hiking club? It could be your hiking friend. My little sister, I talked through all these concepts with her when I was writing the book, and she took it to heart. She decided to start watercolor painting, and she asked a friend of hers who she wanted to spend more time with, like, are you interested in watercolor painting? Do you want to be my watercolor paint friend? Every Wednesday we can get together. And her friend was like, I'd love that. So it was really simple, but it was, hey, what are you interested in? Can I help? I don't think people know that they can negotiate a friendship. I don't think they know that the key to a friendship is outside of them. It is outside. We need to be doing something that we both are psyched about. This is how I make new friends all the time. I reach out to someone, probably another journalist or author, be like, hey, I love your work. How can I help? Like, what I can do this. We can brainstorm. I'm in a writer's group. Would you like to join? Like, if you tell someone I care about what you're doing and I want to care about what you care about, they're going to be like way more likely to make time for you. And then you have a built-in reason to get together. But you can also leave things alone and just put friendships. I don't really think friendships ever end. I mean, unless there's a huge catastrophic betrayal. I think friendships can be on pause or, like for this season, we don't have a clear about, but it could change. Maybe your husband gets a job with their husband and then, oh, actually, we're going to be double dating. Like, I just never know which way friendships are going to go. I'm not a fortune teller. Like, I've been proved wrong so many times when I think our friendship is dead. I just had a friend move back to Philly who was gone for like 15 years. She did a Facebook post, like, anybody want to get together for breakfast? And I was like, I would. And then I was like, actually, I don't really want to do breakfast, but I would do lunch. I don't want to wake up that early. And she's a writer too. And we knew all these people in common. And guess what? Our husbands get along. We went on double dates a few times and we just went to a live podcast taping together. And it all started from her bid of, does anybody want to get together? I'm back in Philly. And then I discovered all these abouts we have. I see her about every week. We get together to write. And I love her. I told her, I'm like, you know what? I love you. She's like, I love you too. Just, I am so surprised by two things: cats and friendship. Like, I'm just always surprised at where I think I know where friendship is. I've pinned it down and it's like, oh no, I have no idea. I just am open. I think the best thing we can do as adults who feel stuck in our friendships is be open to them changing, be open to them looking different, be open to them building and growing together. I spend a lot of time in my book explaining how to give comfort, how to be the kind of person people want to keep as a friend. Like, you can do the desire. We can figure out the reason for the friendship. You can do the diligence. You can offer specific invitations that your friends can say yes to. But it's really about that last part, delight of, I know how to be a good listener. I know how to be a good supporter, a good teammate. And those are things we can control. Those are skills we can sharpen. And I used to have more questions like, why aren't my friends reaching out? Why aren't they happier for me? Why aren't they doing more? And that made me miserable. Now I'm like, how can I help my friends? I'm here to help them. These people are amazing. I cherish them. I admire my friends. I want to help. And that has completely been the most empowering mindset of, I'm not entitled to anyone's friendship. This is a voluntary relationship. I know friendships end at any time for any reason. Your friend could get divorced and have to put friendships on the back burner. They could go through a depression. They could have an illness. There's all sorts of things that can happen in the world. And we can't control a lot of it, but we can control the kind of friends we are and how we practice friendship, how we model it to our friends. We can reduce anxiety. We can tell our friends, I love you. I love being in a friendship with you. I value your friendship. I think you're the most hilarious, compassionate, caring person. And I love being in your life. We can do that. Those are things we can say. So I've actually felt ridiculously empowered learning more about friendship. Everything I've seen about friendship is like it's in decline. The loneliness is an epidemic, but loneliness is when you feel like your life doesn't have meaning. And when you sit around and think, why aren't people doing more for me? That's what makes you feel lonely. But when you wake up and like, how can I make my friends' lives better? How can I show up for them? How can I support them and cheer them on? Then it's not so focused on you. It's not about me. It's about me helping these people that I love.
You are describing like a whole paradigm shift that I had, which is that I had to accept that the only person that I can control is myself. And so what I can do is show up in relationships and in friendships in the way that makes me feel good about myself and about how I'm relating to the other person. And then that has absolutely made my friendships flourish. I am known, not to toot my own horn, but I am like kind of known with my friends as just like the random, hey, just in case anyone hasn't told you today, I love you and you're spectacular and I'm proud of everything that you're doing. Like, thanks for being my friend kind of text. And just being open in that way and like volunteering how I actually feel about these people that I spend time with has created such a deeper sense of connection, because it becomes not just like, oh, like I like hanging out with you. It's like, no, I see you as a person and I appreciate who you are and what you bring to this friendship. And I'm lucky to have you. And I feel like that just creates like a different bond.
It gives your friend permission to invest in the friendship. When you know that someone values you, you're going to change the way you act towards them. You're going to feel permission to prioritize them higher, to, oh, she's texting, I got to write back to her. Oh, she's calling, I got to take this. Like, I found research says 3 to 5 friends are totally optimal. Like, you don't need a ton of people. You really just need to be a sensational friend to a handful of people. And usually that's how we were when we were younger. Like, when we look back at our, high school, college days, we didn't have a ton of contacts we were keeping up with. We had a few friends. We focused only on them. And it was like, chill. So like, it's sort of going back to basics of you can do this. You've already done it. And this is what makes you probably happier is these are my friends. I know who they are. I've told them you're one of my closest friends. I love you. I'm here for you. I'm sticking around for a long time. And then you just enjoy the friendship.
I love that. There are so many different ways to go from stuck to unstuck. But one of the most productive, learning. Learning something new can help you expand your skill set and find new interest. And in the process, help you get unstuck. And if you want to learn something new, you will definitely want to check out Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community that offers thousands of classes designed to help you learn, grow, and tap into your creativity, all of which can help you make the journey from stuck to unstuck. And right now, Skillshare is offering a free month to new members. If you want to access Skillshare's entire library of classes and get the education and instruction you need to shake off the stuckness, just visit seasonofstuck.com/Skillshare and sign up for your free trial today. Again, that's seasonofstuck.com/Skillshare. One other thing that I want to touch on and get your perspective. So, I feel like in our society, we have a lot of tools for like navigating our own personal growth and navigating our romantic partnerships. You know, if you're struggling with your partner, you go to couples therapy or you do these exercises. But like when conflict or rupture comes up in a friendship, I feel like we can often get stuck because we don't really have like the tools or the language of like, how do we work through something really hard with a friend? So if someone is feeling stuck in the sense of there is something off in my friendship, or we had a fight, or they did something that hurt me and I don't know how to talk about it, what advice would you give them on like how to navigate that conflict and be authentic with how they feel while also like repairing the relationship and getting unstuck?
Well, I know my colleague and friend Danielle Beyer Jackson just wrote a fantastic book called Fighting for Our Friendships that goes in detail into all sorts of scenarios of friendship dust ups and how to navigate them with, and also holds a mirror of did we, I'm trying to think of like the way I'm going to phrase it. Did you mess up or did their friend mess up? Is it both messed up? Like, how do we take accountability for our own bad habits? With like a friend, I would just be like, help me out. Like, am I understanding this correctly? I think I'd want to be like, am I reading this right? First, of, hey, like, I don't feel great about that interaction we had. Like, help me understand what you heard. And I'm trying to think, like, when I've had, sometimes I get worried that I come on too strong because I care so deeply that I'm worried I become overbearing. And I'm like, so I learned to temper my advice with saying, feel free to ignore anything I'm about to say that's not helpful. And, you know, friendships are a special relationship in our life because they're of equals. You know, the power dynamics, you know, friends don't like to be dominated. So when you start saying, here's what you should do, here's what you need to do, here's what it's like, friends are going to recoil. They don't want to hear it from a friend. We have our parents, we have our bosses, we have sometimes our spouses. There's all sorts, our children. There's all sorts of power dynamics in our lives. But friendships are one of the only ones of equals. So you really have to approach things as a teammate. We're a team. Help me understand. Like, I realize I overstepped. I understand that that hurt you. I deeply apologize. I will never say that to you again. I understand that that was really painful to hear. Like those kinds of things of, we have to restore equilibrium. You know, I overstepped. So sometimes with my friends, I get like really anxious for them, but that's my problem. It's my anxiety, not theirs. And I'm like, I'm really nervous for you. I think you should do XYZ. And I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. That's my anxiety talking. You don't have to listen to anything I just said. You are not me. I'm seeing that. I love you so deeply and so much. I kind of got a little blurred there, but that's my issue, not yours. And then, you know, that kind of clears the air. I think it can help doing a lot of reflection, self-reflection, and being open to being wrong. Friends want to be friends with people who are able to see, whoa, I didn't get that right. Let's try this again. Whoa, I didn't say the right thing that time. Like, forgive me. Let's try this again. You know, I wrote, one of my loved ones was going through IVF and infertility issues, and I really didn't know what to say. I had no idea how to handle it. I ended up writing an article for the New York Times, what to say to someone going through infertility, as my way to make amends of, I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what was needed from me at the moment. And after writing the article, then I could go back to that friend and say, I now see that I was not handling it the way that you needed, and I deeply apologize. I talked to experts. I did some work, and now I get it. I didn't get it then, but I get it now, and I'm truly sorry. And those kinds of things go a long way to show that you did, that you grew, that you're open to growing, that you're open to feedback of, I'm going to try some different things. I don't know if it's going to work or not, but I appreciate you just like hanging with me as I figure it out.
And I love that approach because every conflict, right, is two-sided. and we always have a part in it. So it's focusing on what we can control and owning our stuff, keeping our side of the street clean. And what I love about that is that it then gives the other person permission, like, oh, this is a person that can own their stuff, so I can own my stuff too. Like, it's safe. And then it makes it a space where you could work through conflict together, not as adversaries, but as you said, as teammates, as like, we are at this together. Like, how can we both own this so that we can move forward in an authentic and loving way?
And one of the best things you can do is get face-to-face time and be like, let me see you. Let's be in the same room. Here's some food. I brought some croissants, whatever. Like,
croissants always help.
I'm rolling in with a croissant. Talk to me. And that is, I know that we can't do that with everyone, but really with those 3 to 5 elite tier friends, I would absolutely go over in person and be, when it's ready, and be like, listen, I'm here. I botched that. Forgive me. I love you. Let's try it again. I want to hear. And that can just go such a long way to repair. And they'll see it in your face. They'll see it in your body language. I think we rely so much on mediated communication, texting, DMing, and it's not a substitute for looking at your friend, touching their arm, giving them a hug. I see my close friends every week. Like, I really make it a point to see my closest 3 friends pretty much every week. And if I don't see them, we talk on the phone. I cannot do that with everyone. I cannot do that with every person I've ever met. But when you plant the marker down of this relationship is valuable to me, I'm not going anywhere. I mean, it's transformative. It will transform you. It will transform your friends. And it's just the way forward.
I love that so much. Okay, so we have touched on so many important things and different scenarios. For someone listening who is feeling stuck in friendship right now, maybe they're feeling stuck because they can't connect and they're feeling lonely because they don't have the depth of that friendship or feel like they have a community around them. Or maybe they're feeling stuck that they don't have any friends and they're not sure how to connect, whatever the case may be. From your experience and your research and your knowledge, like, what are your top tips for them to make the journey from stuck to unstuck in their friendships?
Well, I want to say read my book. Like, get at the library.
Yes.
If you can't afford it, email me. I'll send you the PDF. My book will help you understand friendships on a molecular level. And I think it'll walk you through what's been happening and why. So I think the biggest thing is understand why people may or may not be reaching out to you. Understand, well, who are you reaching out to? What does that sound like? What does that look like? Is it effective? A lot of people text a friend like, hey, thinking of you, we should get together soon. And they don't get a response. And they're like, well, I did the thing, Anna. I reached out. Your whole thing is like, reach out to friends. It's like, yeah, but that was so vague that your friend didn't know how to answer that. Your friend who's juggling 2 kids, one with a learning disability, reads that text and is like, this is homework for me. I don't even know what you're asking. Like, how am I? I don't know where to start. So it's really about, okay, what's my approach? Is my approach getting me the results I want? And I think people use a lot of old strategies from when we were younger and had way more free time, where you could say, hey, are you around Friday? Want to hang? And it's like, yeah, I'm 14 and have a bike and no money. Love it. I'm wide open on Friday. Sounds great. But when you have a spouse and you have children and you have pets and you have a whole life, that's not enough information to say yes to. I don't know what you're talking about. Get together to do what? To talk about what? Why me? Are you just lonely? Are you bored? I need more information before I can say yes. I need more information before I tell my spouse, you're on your own for dinner Friday because I'm getting happy hour with Janelle. It's like, well, why are you getting together? I have no clue. Janelle didn't tell me. She could be trying to sell me a timeshare. Who knows? It's like, part of it's being aware of, we live in a different culture. The rules are different. It's not enough to just say, hey, thinking of you, let's get together. That's nothing. It's worse than nothing, because then it's like an alert you have on your phone that's just there that you have to reply to. You're not considering the person whose inbox the invitation is landing in. I think that's a big problem. We don't spend enough energy thinking about how these invitations are received, in what manner, in what context. So we really need to help our friends out. We need to explain why we want to get together. We need to take into consideration all the roles that our friends play. You know, when we're younger, we had so few things to few people. It's like, I'm a child, I'm a student, sibling, maybe. But now it's like, what do we do? It's like, a friend doesn't even crack the top 10 of the things you'd probably identify. You know, it's different. We're different. Our schedules are different. What moves us, what motivates us, what's compelling to us is different. A lot of the reason for friendships when we're younger is mating. It's to meet new people. It's to go out, mix up, you know, meet people to be in romantic relationships with. But when that's removed, when that's not a compelling factor, when all your friends are married, well, what's our friendship about? And that's what a lot of the struggle is, well, we would have such a good time when we were younger. We'd like go clubbing. We'd go, you know, see bands. It's like, of course it's different. The reason for hanging out is different. So it's really about being aware of how your lives have changed. Nothing's wrong. No one's a monster. We just all have to make decisions with our time. And if you want to make a case for a friend who you love to make time for you, it's like, well, you got to care what they care about. You got to care about their children. You got to see them for all the roles that they have. And you got to work with them. You got to extend invitations that take these roles into account. So that may look like your friend who has little kids. It's like, well, drinks on a Wednesday isn't probably going to happen, but maybe coffee on a Sunday, maybe bagels on a Saturday. I could bring some bagels by. And that shows like, I see you, friend. I see that you have other stuff going on. I see that you're more than just my friend. You have other people in your life. But our goal as a friend in adulthood is, I'm here to support. I'm here to support you. I love you. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. And make it easy for your friends to keep you close. Make it easy. Say, I see all these things you're juggling. I'm here to help. Actually, I'm going to send you pizza tonight. I know you've had a hard day. I know you don't want to make dinner for your kids. I'm sending over some pizzas. That's what friendship could look like in adulthood. That's what feels good. You know, not let's get together and you figure out the place and then, oh, actually, I'm vegan now and that's not going to work for me. It's like, who wants to deal with that?
So it sounds like specificity and also catering to who that friend is, where they are in their life, and what is important to them when you reach out.
Yes, you've summed it up better than I did, but just that shift, you're going to see results. You're going to have better friendships. Your friends are going to feel safe with you. They're going to feel validated. They're going to feel like you see them for more than just being your friend. And they're going to love it. They're going to love it.
I would argue that that is one of the biggest gifts of friendship, is when we feel like truly seen. Like, oh, you see me. You see where I am in life. You see who I am and what I need. That's like such a great feeling.
And we can give that to one another. We just have to know where to put our efforts and be smart about it. Be smart. You can be smart and get better results. I know I sound like an infomercial, but you know, I wrote for the Smarter Living section of the New York Times, and I really am like, let's be smart about this. How can we get you what you want? And this is what I found works best.
Ugh, Anna, I feel like I am walking away from this conversation with like so many tidbits of like how to be a better friend and like how to navigate stuckness in friendships, like currently and in the future. So thank you for that.
Oh,
Here at Season of Stuck, as we kind of near the end of the interview, we just have a few questions that we ask every guest. So if it's okay with you, I just have a few more questions for you.
yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So, first question. Thinking about the ideal future version of yourself, like the Anna you are working every day to grow into. If she could travel back in time and talk to the current version of you, what advice do you think she would give you on how to navigate stuckness at this point in your life?
Oh my gosh. Well, I feel like writing this book has me unstuck because I learned so much. Like, I don't feel particularly stuck at all. I feel such
Yes.
clarity
Oh.
and peace. Like, I've taken off a heavy backpack that I've been carrying around of guilt and, pain. And I feel like I understand it better and I've transcended it. Like, I understand what's happening. I used to feel like my friendships were these wild horses dragging me around. And now I feel like there's not like that at all. I feel like it's just beautiful, not even a garden, because people say friendships are a garden, but the plants have to choose you back. It's like, it's not just me watering the basil. It's like the basil could just walk up and find someone else whose water they likes better.
Mhm.
So it's more like a gang. I don't even know what it is. It's like I feel so solid with my friendships because I know why they exist. And knowing why, I can work with that. I can negotiate with that. I feel like they're shatterproof. My friendships right now are shatterproof. And I worked very hard for that. And I'm just enjoying it.
That is such an incredible and beautiful place to be. And what I love about that is that, like, through the process of getting there yourself, you then are like giving that process to other people through your book. Like, you made that journey through writing the book, and now you're giving people that gift of how to take that journey by sharing your book with the world. And that's like so beautiful.
And I do want to say I opened the book with a very personal, moving experience of losing my dad to COVID. And what that taught me was he didn't get to say goodbye to his friends. None of his friends even knew he was that sick. And it just really changed me. I don't want my friends to ever second guess our friendship or ever feel uncertain about where we stand. I don't want that. So going through something like that was very transformative to me because, I take the time, I take a beat to tell my friends. I don't want them, and we never know when our time is. I know it's a little morbid, but I think it's realistic I don't know when my time is. And I just don't want my friends to ever second guess how much they mean to me. So as far as like, I'm thinking about stuck, I'd love to know where I want to take this friendship knowledge. I've learned so much about friendships, and the more I learn, the more questions I have. I don't know if this is a good answer to question, but I'm hoping that in the future I'll know even more. I want to know more about how men and women regard their friendships differently, how they negotiate their friendships differently. So I'm hoping I'll know that, but the future me will be like, oh, okay, this is what's going on, and just be able to help in even more specific, actionable ways.
Mm, I love that so much. You found your path and you're just sticking on it.
I told you I'm a geek about friendship. I'm so into it.
It's the best when you find that like one thing where you're like, I could dive into this forever and there would always be like another nugget to uncover or truth to unpack or like epiphany or realization to have. So, and I just love that yours is friendship, like such a crucial part of our life. So please keep sharing all of the things that you learned, keep sharing it with
Thank you.
us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
The next few questions are just a little bit of like rapid fire. So I'm just going to ask you a question and then you say the first thing that comes to mind.
Let's do it.
Okay. Favorite movie of all time?
Back to the Future.
Ooh, that's a great one. Marty McFly. Go to coffee order.
Just black iced coffee.
I have so much respect for people who do black coffee. My coffee is basically like a breakfast milkshake with all of the like, I put maple syrup and cream and all sorts of stuff. But like black coffee is such a sophisticated way to do it.
I'm so disciplined with it, but then I have like ice cream right after. So it's really dumb. Like it's like ordering a diet soda when you get a donut. It's like that's my equivalent is, well, let's have the black coffee, but then I'll get the croissant.
But that sounds like a delicious combination. I'm with you. If you could have any animal in the world as a pet, what animal would it be?
And I can't choose cats.
You can choose cats.
I will choose my two cats.
This is my favorite answer when people choose their own pets because I would also choose my own pets. There is like, you could give me a unicorn and I would be like, no, thank you. I will keep my two precious little fur babies who are my whole life. Okay. And last question. What is the best concert that you have ever been to?
Oh my gosh. Best concert. I mean, I want to say Fall Out Boy. I love Fall Out Boy.
Ooh.
I'm from Chicago. Like, I went to high school with Pete Wentz. I love Fall Out Boy. I'm trying to think what I've been to. Oh, Radiohead was amazing. Arcade
Ooh.
Fire.
Mm-hmm.
Right before COVID, like we started seeing, me and my husband went to some like really great concerts. Radiohead was brilliant. Arcade Fire was brilliant.
Those all sound like incredible shows. I love Tom York's voice is so
I
interesting.
know.
And Fall Out Boy is some of my like favorite I'm driving in the
Really?
car and singing along jams. 100%.
Really?
Yes. I still like kind of like late 90s, early 2000s to 2010 like emo rock is like a
Yes.
hardcore genre in my life to this day.
Same.
Mm.
I love that. I support it.
Yes.
I approve this message.
I appreciate it. Anna, this conversation has been so incredible, and I feel like you have shared so many insights that will help anyone listening who is feeling stuck in their friendship. So thank you for sharing your wisdom and for being here. For anyone listening who wants to connect with you and learn more about your work or buy your book, how do they go about doing that?
Yeah, just check me out at Anna Goldfarb. I'm on Instagram. And I have a Substack called Friendship Explained. That's annagoldfarb.substack.com. And that's where I look at friendship mechanics through a pop culture lens. I have a lot of fun over there. I like to just explain what we're seeing and deconstruct messages that we're getting to help people really understand here's what's going on. Like here, like an orient. I want to be a compass. Like here's what's going on. And I just love it. So come join me. Come find me online.
Friendship mechanics through a pop culture lens sounds like something I would be so into. I'm so excited to check that out. Let me just ask you real quick. Is there any pop culture example of friendship that you feel is like super healthy and what friendship would ideally look like?
I'll probably Tina Fey and Amy Poehler. I think their friendship is so beautiful and it's spanned decades and they've worked together, but you can also see that they've achieved a lot of milestones together. They're both parents, they're both creatives, and I just love their friendship. I love when they co-host something and you can just see like that is the real deal. I love it. I love it.
I agree. I love everything they do, including their friendship. It's amazing.
Yeah. And you can have it too. Read Modern Friendship. Like, come read Modern Friendship, and you can have a Amy Poehler, Tina Fey-esque friendship of your own.
Which is really living the dream. Let's be honest.
Living the dream. It's living the dream. We can all have it. We can all have it.
Anna, thank you again for being here. We so appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
That's it for today. A huge thank you to our guests for their incredible insights, and a huge thank you to you, our listeners. We know that there are so many podcasts out there to choose from, and we are just so grateful that you chose ours. If you enjoyed today's episode, consider recommending the podcast to a friend or family member that you think would enjoy it. And to make sure that you never miss an episode, subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever it is you get your podcasts. And while you're there, if you loved the show, please consider leaving a 5-star review. It plays such a huge part in getting this podcast out to a wider audience and ultimately supporting more people on their journey from stuck to unstuck. And to keep in touch and access even more stuck-related content, follow us on Instagram at Season of Stuck and visit our website, seasonofstuck.com, where you can sign up to get episodes delivered directly to your inbox. Thank you again for being here. It is so, so appreciated. Until next time, I'm Deanna DeBera, and you're listening to Season of Stuck.